right, so if you missed that part, she said programs that you're interested in. Yes, our moderators are so good. Thank you so much. I am just staying for a few minutes. However, I wanted to let you all know that Jordan's going to provide a bunch of information to you, and she's such a wonderful resource in regards to all things grad school. I know I sent a message to my particular section of capstone students and did some tweeting earlier. So just be thinking about it. And then of course, share this information with some of your peers that possibly were not able to make it. So I am seeing a lot of educational leadership coming into the chat. That is actually my master's degree as well. Just be aware that oftentimes for ed leadership, you have to have been a practicing teacher for 3 years in order to enter that program. So that's just something to consider. That was not the case when I actually earned my master's degree. I began 9 months after I graduated the first time from UCF. I took that 9 months of teaching and then began that following summer. So we have instituted different requirements in regards to the educational leadership program. So that's just something to consider. While Jordan is getting up and running, if anyone has any questions they want, there she is. Okay, she's still working on it. If anyone has any questions they want to ask, Katie has a great comment. Katie, do you want to elaborate on that just a little bit?
Yeah, so I went to one of those things at UCF before COVID happened where you walk around and they give you advice on graduate programs that you want to enter. And there were these bunch of tables set up specifically for education. And one of the things that was there was something that said education leadership. And I thought that meant teaching college, but it was like an administrative path. So instead of teaching at the collegiate level, you're actually going to train to become an administrator in like public schools. So their programs, you have to be really careful on what you're applying for because there are 2 or 3 that sound the same, but they are different paths towards what your end goal is. So they had to break down the separate degree programs there and make sure that I knew I wanted to teach college, not become like a leader in administration.
Right. So, and I know Jordan will address some of these, but you're absolutely right. So I've had several Zoom conversations with previous students this summer that do want to go into, in fact, just, I don't know, 4 days ago, had a great call with a recent graduate that does want to go into educational leadership. And I had 2 prior to that in the last month where they have goals of becoming a professor in higher education. So whenever you see higher education, that's me. That's your professors that you work with. We teach in higher ed. And the thing that you have to be really cognizant of if you want to end up there someday is your path and what degrees you tend to get and where you get them. I have an educational leadership degree. However, I have never actually run a school. I started teaching at UCF before I could actually use my master's degree. And my master's degree did not necessarily help me with what my focus was here, which is educating teacher candidates at the elementary school level. So my boss used to always have to write letters for me. Thank goodness he did that because it's given me the ability to teach you all for the last 17 years. I'm looking at some of the questions, and one that I want to highlight before, I'm sure Jordan, yep, she's almost back, comes back on, is I'm very aware that many of you may not know what you want to do yet. And especially those of you that are out in internship placements right now, my best advice to you is to really look around at who the stakeholders are in the schools. Do you like the idea of counseling, for example? Do you like the idea of being an assistant principal or a principal? Do you like the idea of being a reading coach, an academic coach, an ESE specialist? an art teacher. I mean, there's just so many places and avenues you can take with a graduate degree. And I will tell you, as Jordan will share with you shortly here, there are so many options for you out there. So I'm thrilled to see that we have 31 participants today. And Jordan, I'm going to jump off because I'm doing boots on the ground orientation. So you all enjoy Jordan and use her. She is a wonderful resource.
Thank you. Hopefully, is this better, everybody? Thank you so much, Dr. Spalding, and everyone for your patience. I really appreciate it. As we all know, in this new remote technology, sometimes it's up and down a little bit like a roller coaster. Okay, so wonderful. So I do want to be respectful of everyone's time, so I will go ahead and get started. Today's presentations, you know, I have two computers going because I didn't want to make you guys wait. So PowerPoint's on one and I will speak on this one. So again, I'm with the Graduate Affairs Office for our College of Community Innovation and Education. As you all know, we are a community-facing college, so a lot of our programs have to do with education, public administration, criminal justice. I kind of like to call it that a lot of our programs were like superheroes in training. You know, we are there for the community from the classroom, you know, to the, criminal justice, nonprofit management, and everything like that. So we are going to go ahead and get started. The agenda for today is going to be the application process, some tips and helpful inside information, GPA requirements, transcript information, as well as test scores for what programs require official testing, what programs do not. We'll also be going over the graduate experience, kind of comparing undergraduate experience to the graduate experience of program options. Our college has over 100 different graduate programs, so we'll be going over some of them. I'll address some frequently asked questions, and then also I would love for you guys to put them in the chat as well, and we'll go over those ones at the end as well. Okay, so some application tips are going to be to start the process early. I think by the fact that all of you already know that you are interested in graduate school is a great first step, because some programs only admit in the fall semester, so you have to kind of take a year ahead of time to start planning. So the earlier that you're able to start the process, even just looking at your program options and discovering the program and knowing when those application deadlines are, is going to be the best first step. Being resourceful and thorough, really knowing what every program that you're interested in requires. Every program requires different things, so just make sure that you know what the program that you're most interested is in, and then if it requires taking an official test, when, as we are all familiar with, I think everyone on here is education, major or minor, we have FTCE exams, and those can take 4 to 6 weeks to come in, so keeping that in mind as well. Researching websites and options. You guys have done some research, you're here this evening. Again, knowing those program requirements, speak out, get to know faculty and administrators. You guys have such a great faculty resource with Dr. Spalding. She was sharing her experience with you, and make those connections with your faculty now and keep them going, because some programs require letters of recommendation, and it's a lot easier, you know, to reach back out to a faculty member when you have a good connection with them, instead of, you know, even if it's 10 years from now, you know, life happens and you might be starting graduate school later, you have maintained a connection and a relationship with that faculty member who can speak upon your ability as a student and your leadership as well. So definitely just looking at what those application requirements are and start thinking of what it's going to require, whether it's a personal goal statement. What do they want to see in that personal goal statement? Being able to have time to ask those follow-up questions to make sure your application is as strong as it can be. I'm going to get confused every time that the presentation is on a different computer. I do apologize. So GPA and transcripts. when you're applying to UCF or another institution, you're going to need to provide your official transcripts with your earned bachelor's degree showing. So for example, if you're graduating in December, congratulations, and then you're looking to start a graduate program in the spring or the summer, your application deadline is going to be at least December 1st for spring 2021. But graduation, happens later. So you'll probably see that your application will be marked kind of as incomplete until your transcript with your earned bachelor's degree shows, but a decision could still be made on your file. So we call that a conditional admission. So your admission is contingent on your final transcript posting with your earned bachelor's degree. So don't worry if you're trying to start applying for programs and you're like, but I haven't finished undergrad yet. It's very normal, so just keep that in mind. Also, you'll need transcripts from all colleges and universities you've attended. If you've done a Direct Connect program with Seminole State or Valencia and they're already posted on your UCF transcript, you don't need to request them from your Direct Connect institution. However, if it's not posted, you'll just want to make sure that you order your transcripts from those other institutions as well. I hope that a lot of you will be considering UCF for your graduate programs. And if you do, your transcripts will already be on file, so you don't need to pay for them or request them. They will pull them automatically. So that's kind of nice. You don't have to worry about making sure your transcript is there. They'll pull it automatically over in Milliken Hall. And then the university requires a 3.0 GPA for our graduate programs. Now they're going to look at two different GPAs. They're going to look at your overall GPA from your entire undergraduate experience, but then they're also going to look at your last 60 hours. So for example, your overall GPA is maybe a 2.7, but your last 60 hours is a 3.4. They're going to take the 3.4 for your application, and you did meet the 3.0 GPA requirement. So there's two opportunities to meet that 3.0 GPA requirement. And then, for example, if neither one of the GPAs, one's a 2.7 and one's a 2.9, you are still able to apply because we do have, provisional applications and things like that. So there's other opportunities as well as your entire application file being reviewed. If you have GPA questions, please feel free to reach out to me, and I would be more than happy to assist you with your GPA calculations. Someone asked, I'm kind of seeing some of the questions pop up, so I'll try to address them to keep with the flow, but some I'll probably have to get back to. That will be part of being the resourceful and doing your research. Every institution is different. A lot will look at your last 60 and your overall, but I don't want to speak on another institution's, behalf. I can tell you the UCF policy and that a lot of other institutions do, but just in case the one you're interested in does not, please make sure you're doing your own research and double checking that as well, reaching out to their graduate affairs office or a program coordinator as well. Okay, so test scores. The GRE is the graduate record exam, and it's kind of like the graduate school version of the SAT or the ACT. It has a quantitative and a qualitative section as well as an essay. Please note that not every program requires the GRE. This is something that you're going to want to look into when you're looking at programs and institutions that you're interested in applying to, because like I mentioned earlier, we know the FTCE sometimes takes 4 to 6 weeks. A lot of things are even taking longer to get in, getting an appointment to get into a testing center. So just make sure that you know the requirements. Here at UCF, we recommend that students aim for a 300 combined score of the quantitative and the qualitative. So that can be a 150 and a 150, so it can vary and then the essay, we recommend students aim for a 4 as well. So every program is different with their competitive scores. It varies not only among, the programs and the schools, but also the applicant pool. So every, year, every applicant can be different and their test scores can be different. Therefore, the competitiveness for that term or that cohort will be different. So I always encourage you that if you're interested in a program, for example, counselor education, that their kind of admission standards, they do a star system, regular info sessions that kind of explain and how, their admission process works. So always just reach out again to a program coordinator if you're looking at a different institution and say, what GRE score does your program look for? The GRE or the GKT is mainly if you are an individual coming from a non-education background. I do believe everyone is education here with KnightED Talks, because some of our programs require the general knowledge test for admission or the GRE, and I know a lot of you are taking it, but if you're looking to substitute it, you need to get specific scores on the GRE in order for it to replace the general knowledge test, and that breakdown is there. I don't want to kind of confuse you guys too much because this probably won't apply to a lot of you. So again, please feel free to reach out to me if you want to go over again like the GRE versus the GKT, but a lot of you will have taken the GKT and may not, you'll still need to take the GRE, for example, if you're interested in counselor ed. So the GRE can substitute for the GKT if it's required for a program you're interested in, but the GKT cannot substitute for the GRE. So that makes sense. I'm going to say it again. You can substitute the GRE for a GKT application requirement, but you cannot substitute the GKT for the GRE. All right, so again, if you have questions about the required testing, just let me know. Okay. So grad versus undergrad, it's going to be a little bit different. The classes are going to be more experiential learning courses, program-specific courses. You're not going to have to, take introduction to astronomy, in a 300-person auditorium. Well, none of us are doing that right now. A lot of us are remote, but you're going to see your class sizes are a lot smaller. They're going to be more similar to the classes you're taking your junior and your senior year, your education-specific courses with about 30 people, 20 to 30 people, or so, even smaller. And then each course that you take will meet one night a week, no earlier than 5:30 p.m. for our master's programs. So depending on how many classes you take a semester, if you're taking 3 classes, that could be 3 nights a week. 1 class is 1 night a week. So each class meets once a week, no earlier than 5:30. Programs offer mixed mode, half online, half face-to-face. A lot will be face-to-face, but some will also be online, and we offer fully online graduate programs as well, depending on the graduate program that you're interested in. However, it is designed in the evening face-to-face for programs that you could still be teaching during the day and earning your master's degree in the evening. So the question, can I do grad school? I don't, a lot of us didn't think about a master's degree until maybe we started our undergraduate experience. So we're going to see a lot of people pursuing, voluntarily going to school longer because they're passionate for their career. A lot of you were already interested in maybe moving into a new subject area. I saw exceptional student education, educational leadership. You're passionate about education and you want to expand in that field. Your courses are going to be, again, more presentation, group work, and papers and things like that. And your classes will be those condensed 3-hour courses, which I know a lot of education majors are familiar with. And it's going to require you to prioritize and be organized. Get your planners ready, prioritizing, that reading that you're going to have to do over the weekend, and your teacher planning and things like that. So it's going to take a lot of organization and prioritizing and just looking at everything to make sure that you're setting yourself up to be most successful. And like I said, with grad school, it's a little bit more flexible. You can take 1, 2, or 3 classes a semester. You don't have to take, 12 credit hours every semester. So you could take, 1 class in the fall, 2 in the spring, 3 in the summer, depending on course availability, as well as if there's any funding attached to the program that you're interested in and how long you would like to take to complete. A lot of our master's programs are designed to be completed in about 2 years if you take 2 to 3 classes a semester. So work in grad school, some of our programs do require experience, as Dr. Spalding had mentioned, educational leadership, MED, the Masters of Education, and I'll be going over the different terminologies for the degrees: Master of Education, Master of Arts, Masters of Arts in Teaching, MED, all of that, as well as the different educational leadership routes. So for example, educational leadership, MED, Master of Education, is focused on K through 12 administration to become an assistant principal in the K through 12 system. It requires 3 years of teaching experience with effective to highly effective evaluations before you can apply to the program, with the idea that you were in the classroom before you become a leader at the school. So that is a program that requires it, but not all of our programs require, 3 years of experience. A lot of students are able to go straight from undergrad to grad, depending on the program that you're interested in. And then I have mentioned this, our full-time and part-time options. So at the graduate level, 3 classes in the fall and spring, 9 credit hours is considered full-time, and 6 credit hours, 2 classes in the summer is considered full-time. And then there's opportunities for career advancement depending on the graduate degree and career route that you're seeking. So I'm going to go over the graduate programs that our College of Community Innovation and Education offers. I'm going to go over graduate certificates first. Graduate certificates are kind of like a minor at the undergraduate level. It is not a degree-seeking program. It's an opportunity to earn a graduate certificate, expand on a specific area of study, earn a certification. So for example, if your undergraduate education degree does not include the ESOL endorsement, you can get a graduate certificate and obtain your ESOL endorsement with our ESOL endorsement graduate certificate. If you're interested in gifted education or the gifted endorsement, we offer a certificate in that as well. If you're interested in working, in pre-kindergarten disabilities, or maybe adding on a certification in a new subject area, sometimes certificates are a nice option. The certificates range from 12 to 18 credit hours, so they can usually be completed in about a year. Another option would be that you can use electives within a master's degree towards a graduate certificate and then maybe take a couple extra classes. So if you're interested in a master's program and it requires 9 credit hours of electives and you want to go ahead and apply to the play therapy graduate certificate, you can take 9 credit hours from the play therapy graduate certificate in your master's, as well as towards earning the certificate, and then take the 2 or 3 additional courses to earn the certificate as well. So there's a lot of flexibility with how you can use a graduate certificate towards a master's, or if a master's program that you're interested in maybe doesn't start, they only admit once a year, but they have a certificate that goes along with it. Maybe you can apply to the graduate certificate, get started on the coursework, and then apply to the master's program as well. Please note, if you apply to a graduate certificate, it doesn't guarantee admission into a master's program. The admission process for the certificate and the master's is separate and does require a new application. However, your transcripts that were submitted will be on file, so we can move those. Some of your supporting documents can be used and moved, but you would need a new application. Is everyone still with me? I know it's a lot of information and I'm seeing a lot of questions through the chat. I'm doing my best to get some of them, but I know we'll definitely have time at the end to address your questions as well. Okay. So this is a list of our master's degrees that do not require a GRE. So again, the GRE is the graduate record exam, another version, the graduate version of the SAT or the ACT. You're going to see a lot of the K through 12 education programs listed on here. So if you're interested in elementary education, social science education, K through 8 math and science, curriculum and instruction, they do not require a GRE score for admission. Again, if you guys have questions on whether a program requires the GRE or not, please feel free to contact me. And we're going to be going over the graduate catalog. I saw a couple links with that going through the chat as well. That's going to become your best friend because that has everything listed in it. And I'll be going over again MAs, MATs, MEDs, and making sure that you're applying to the right program. So we also offer dual degrees through our criminal justice and public administration units. So if you're interested in kind of doing a criminal justice master's of science, you can tack on through electives and additional coursework, a public administration, nonprofit management program as well. So we don't see these really with a lot of our education programs. So maybe with education, you would see a lot more of a master's and a certificate instead of a full dual degree. So these are our graduate programs at the master's and education specialist level that do require the GRE. So you'll see counselor education if you're interested in school counseling. They do require the GRE. If you're interested in higher education and student personnel working within student affairs, you know, at a college or university, that program will require the GRE as well. If you're looking into school psychology, that program requires the GRE. Please note, school psychology is the only education specialist degree here at UCF where you can apply straight from your bachelor's to the EDS program. A lot of our other EDS programs, for example, educational leadership, require a master's degree. So sometimes we would see that a student completed maybe their bachelor's in elementary education, then they got their master's in exceptional student education, and now they've decided, you know what, I want to be a certified school administrator, I want to become an assistant principal, and move up within administration. Then they may decide to go get an education specialist degree in educational leadership that will lead to administrative certification. So that's where you may see that. So again, a lot of our EDS programs, except for school psychology, require a master's degree beforehand. I know that it seems a lot to also talk about doctoral degrees at this time. So I'm just going to kind of give you guys an overview, difference between our EDDs and our PhDs, so you know the key points there. And then again, I don't want to overwhelm you with too much information. So we have doctors of education, which are EDDs, and we offer them in educational leadership as well as curriculum and instruction. A lot of EDDs you're going to see are practitioner-based, and then our PhDs, our doctors of philosophy, are more research-focused. So if your goal is to be a full-time research faculty member at a college or university, you might be geared towards more the PhD route. But if you're interested in still teaching as a faculty member at a college or university, but be more practitioner-based and, you know, do things like Dr. Spalding and oversee student groups and engagement and things, maybe the EDD is the better route. So it's all going to really depend on if you want to be more research-based, practitioner-based, and things like that. So we offer our PhD in education with 15 different tracks, then criminal justice and public affairs as well. So again, I know that's farther down the road for all of us, so I'm going to go ahead and move on to our frequently asked questions. But if you have more questions about doctoral programs, again, always feel free to reach out. My office and laptop are always open to you guys if you ever have questions. Okay, so some frequently asked questions is going to be, how do I apply? So this is the application website with the College of Graduate Studies. The College of Graduate Studies oversees the application database as well as all of the graduate programs at the university. As I mentioned earlier, I'm with the Graduate Affairs Office, and I'm just with the College of Community Innovation and Education specifically, and I work with the College of Graduate Studies in a liaison position. So if you guys have questions about your application, you can reach out to me and I'll coordinate with the College of Graduate Studies, but just know like residency and things like that, or if you need your transcripts, that's all going to be with the College of Graduate Studies in Milliken Hall. So the application website is applynow.graduate.ucf.edu/apply, and we can put that in the chat as well. So do I need to send my transcripts? I mentioned earlier that if you are a UCF undergraduate student, your transcripts will already be on file. And again, you can double check to make sure if you did a Direct Connect program that they are listed on your UCF transcript. If not, you'll just need to request them from Valencia, Seminole State, Broward College, and South, wherever you attended, you know, to start your college experience or where you got your AA, just to make sure that they are already on file for your graduate degree, because they will be required. So if you're a UCF Knight, you don't need to request them, they'll already be on file. Okay, so do I have to have my bachelor's degree in a related field? Not necessarily, and this is kind of going to play off of the MAs and the MED programs. That is the next slide, if I believe. So I'm going to go ahead and explain this for you guys. So our MAs, our Masters of Arts, and our Masters of Arts in Teaching are designed for individuals who are non-education. They're coming from a non-education background. They are not certified. They did not get their bachelor's degree in education, and they are looking to obtain certification. So for example, if I got my bachelor's degree in psychology and now I wanted to teach elementary school, I'm going to apply to the Elementary Education MA Masters of Arts program, because that is an initial teacher certification program. It has classroom management, legal and ethical, everything that you guys are taking now. I'm going to have to take the GKT, the professional exam, the subject area exam. So all of those are built in. So it is kind of the graduate version of your guys' program now. So that was an example that you can apply to elementary education with a non-elementary education background. However, you need to make sure that you're applying to the Masters of Arts, which is the initial teacher certification program. So nod with me if we're okay with that one. All right, very good. So an MED program is a Masters of Arts, and that, a Masters of Education, and that allows currently certified educators or those who have obtained a bachelor's degree in education who have gone through those initial certification processes to apply directly to a program, and they're usually shorter. So if you are interested, you know, if you got your bachelor's in social science education and you want to get your master's in it as well and dive deeper into the subject matter, you would apply to the MED program, the Masters of Education, because you're already certified. So you'll also see that with, for example, educational leadership MED, you're coming from an education background. So if you want to get certified in K-12 administration, that'd be the Educational Leadership MED Masters of Education. So I know there were some questions in the chat, so I'll go over them more program by program depending on your guys' questions. Okay. So I had mentioned earlier the graduate catalog. This is going to become your best friend at any institution that you're looking to apply to. I strongly encourage you to find that catalog. The program websites, it includes the application deadlines, requirements, the curriculum, the program coordinator information for you to follow up with them and ask any questions. It's going to have everything listed there. It's a one-stop shop. It links to the application, so you know ahead of time okay, this is a 63 credit hour program. If I'm, you can start mapping things out and getting organized. So I strongly encourage everyone to check out the graduate catalog, start on your browser, and then you'll be able to start reviewing all of our programs that are offered, not just at the College of Community Innovation Education, but the university as well. So those are the official slides that I had prepared for you guys. This is my office's contact information, as well as my personal email. So please feel free to reach out to me. I would be more than happy to set up a one-on-one Zoom or a phone appointment or anything like that to kind of go over, personal specific questions. I know that everybody's experience and situation is different. So if you want to talk one-on-one, I'd be happy to. And I know we have a lot of questions in the chat. So I don't know if you guys want to help me filter through them or have me scroll a little bit. But I want to make sure that I try to address as many questions that you guys have. Okay, here we go. Okay, sorry about that. Okay.
Carla just asked a question. I know Katie was trying to go through and answer some of them, so I don't know which ones have been answered or not. So if your answer hasn't, or your question hasn't been answered, please resend it. I know Carla just resent hers if we want to answer that one.
Okay, so the question is about using graduate certificate courses towards a master's degree because the master's program only admits once a year, and sometimes that's a little off cycle for everyone with their graduation. So you are able to apply to a graduate certificate program and be admitted and start taking classes. However, just because you are enrolled in the certificate does not guarantee admission to the master's program. So my recommendation would be to reach out to the program coordinator of the master's program and let them know that you are extremely interested in the program and that you would like to start the coursework as soon as possible. Therefore, you're interested in applying to the graduate certificate so that your name is on their radar and that they know that you would be transferring in those courses from the certificate into the master's program. Because the graduate certificate application and the master's program application are going to be separate. You'll need to be admitted into both programs. So you are able to start in a certificate a semester or two ahead of when the master's program that you're interested in applying to starts. However, you'll need to be admitted into the program as well. Did that answer that question? Okay. You're very welcome. So if you're interested in going into more of a political role and being an advocate for schools and teachers, that unfortunately there's not a clear degree for that. So I've seen a lot of different backgrounds. Sometimes you'll see teachers, or administrators then, move into more of a political role and they're running for state assembly or a school board position within their district and things like that. So I think a lot of it you may see educational leadership a lot because within the educational leadership MED program, you're going to be going over policy, legal and ethical issues. You're going to be going over all of the administrative decision-making processes that you see in the K through 12 system. Another option is, and depending on the political route that you're wanting to take, you might want to look into our public administration programs or even nonprofit. So it kind of just depends, and that might be something we can talk more about specifically one-on-one, what you're looking for. But unfortunately, there's no set graduate program for that. But I love that you're interested in, advocating for our teachers and everyone. So that would be kind of just really quick, some options for you. So there are definitely going to be information sessions about all of our graduate programs. Unfortunately, Grad Fair that we have in the Pegasus Ballroom every year and our spring open house will most likely not be able to take place. Grad Fair definitely will not be taking place this fall semester. However, we're going to be doing a lot of online informational sessions. So we're in the process of scheduling them now. So I will be sure to get that information to Dr. Spalding. Please like all the CCIE social media, email me for a calendar. Each of our programs and our units will be holding online info sessions for you guys to join in and ask more program specific questions. So if you're interested in teaching at the college level, there's a few different routes you can take depending on what all you want to do with the degree. So we offer an educational leadership Master's of Arts in college teaching and leadership. And that's if you're interested in becoming like an adjunct faculty member, kind of part-time at the college or university level, because to teach at a college or university, you need 18 hours of specialization at the master's level in the subject area that you want to teach. And then the college teaching and leadership, educational leadership Masters of Arts, MA. I'm trying to be really specific because I know there were questions about the ed leadership programs. So I know it's a lot. I'm just trying to make the clear distinctions for you guys. So the college teaching and leadership, educational leadership MA program provides the 18 hours of specialization in the content that you are seeking to teach, for example, math, science, English, as well as your core courses about college and university life, student development, and things like that. So that would be an option for, and I know that that one is teaching and it's an MA, but that's because a lot of the MEDs that I was referring to earlier, Masters of Education, are for the K through 12 subject areas. So you'll need 18 hours of specialization in the content area that you want to teach. So a lot of students will do the college teaching and leadership program because it has the 18 hours of content. However, if you're doing elementary education, you will need to look at your program of study and calculate, how many content hours you're getting. And you might, do the college teaching and leadership certificate or, do a certificate to help gain those 18 hours. So there's a few different ways that you can obtain your content hours required at the graduate level to become like an adjunct faculty member at a college or a university. I know some of these answers are a little broad, but I think you guys are starting to see when it comes to like graduate school, because they're shorter and things like that, they're more program specific, but there are options, depending on what the routes that you want to take. So the MED, the Educational Leadership MED, Masters of Education, does require 3 years of teaching experience, and you need to have effective and highly effective evaluations, as well as a letter of support from your principal. So unfortunately, you can't go straight from undergrad to grad in that program. But if you want to kind of like stay in the school mindset, maybe an option would be a certificate if you're interested in, taking a class here or there and earning more specialization as well. I'm trying to piece all of these together. Yeah, that's a great point. Adjunct faculty professor requirements can vary. So again, if you have an idea, if you know that you're maybe going to move out of state because your dream is to live in North Dakota, then maybe look at the North Dakota options and things like that. Do certain school districts pay for master's degree? That's a really great question, and that's going to depend on the school district as well as the program that you're interested in applying to. I know that Orange County did a special K-8 math and science cohort, but typically it's not something that you're going to see with every school district. But there are funding opportunities. So there's funding opportunities through something called Teach Grant, which was available at the undergraduate level. It's also available at the master's level as well. So if you're interested in reading, math, science, exceptional student education, K-8 math and science, you can apply for Teach Grant. And the way Teach Grant works is that you would get $4,000 a year towards your graduate degree, that as long as you make the commitment to work in a Title I school, for 4 years upon earning your degree. And Dr. Caroline Pratt-Merritt is our Teach Grant coordinator. So if you guys have more questions, I would be really happy to assist you with that process, because with Teach Grant, the way it works is you really need to make sure you're organized and stay on top of it, because it is federal money. If you don't stay informed every year, letting them know that you are still working at a Title I school, your grant can turn into a loan with interest. So I just want to make sure, if you are interested in Teach Grant, please reach out to me or Dr. Caroline Pratt-Merritt to make sure that you fully understand it. We also have scholarships available. The Access to Opportunity Scholarship Database has graduate funding as well. And my recommendation would be to take the time to Google or do research about graduate funding. We're not going to see a ton of it, like school districts paying for it. Maybe once you've earned it, that pay increase, but not unfortunately paying for your degree. So taking the time to research funding opportunities. Also, if you are a Florida Bright Future recipient, depending on how much funding you may have left, you can put it towards a graduate degree. If you start a master's program within a year of earning your bachelor's degree, you can receive any funding left over in your Bright Futures towards your graduate degree at the undergraduate rate. So it won't cover all of it, and it will depend on everybody's situation, but that's another kind of funding opportunity that may just be available to you and you just didn't know. Let's see. If I'm missing any questions, please feel free to jump in and let me know. So job possibilities. With a master's degree, you're going to have earned an entire new degree. So some, depending on what you're looking to go into, if you're looking to go into school counseling, that school counseling graduate degree will be required. I think a lot of right now with the pandemic is making those connections and networking as much as you can virtually, attending. A lot of schools are holding online sessions. Schools need teachers right now. I know that it seems like a scary time, but if you're looking for a job, positions are available. It's just making that decision, and then, going into the classroom or trying to teach remotely. So maybe during this time, it would be good, to see if there's KnightED talks or other sessions about innovative online teaching methods. That's going to be something new that I think we'll see a lot more of, because Florida virtual school is an option, but we know that a lot of our teachers are now in their classroom video streaming, teaching to some of their students in the classroom and some of them online. So I think a lot of us are learning right now. So I think being maybe ahead of the curve and seeking out opportunities to learn about innovative online teaching, whether, we offer a graduate certificate in educational technology, teaching online, creating curriculum to be taught online. So looking at those LinkedIn learning courses, anything like that, I would recommend. Kind of right now, a lot of us are having to look into new and innovative ways to do what we do. And so just taking that initiative, and that's a resume builder. You know, if you can even earn an online learning certificate, you know, I know Google offers them as well. You can tack up those certificates, you know, and things and put them on your resume. So my recommendation would just be to think about what you want to do and like see if there's any additional learning opportunities that you can spend a few hours, you know, over a few weekends and get a certification online through something like that to make yourself, you know, more desirable in the hiring process. And going to those, you know, those chats that are online. Career Services offers a lot of lunch and learns with Orange County Public Schools, for example. So at Katie's like nodding. She's like, I feel like you're my #1 fan. I really like it. So she's like backing me up. So it's not just me talking. You have a colleague on the call who can agree and relate to it. So thank you for your support, Katie. Let's see. Am I missing anything? I want to be respectful of everyone's time with just a few minutes. I see that someone was applying to the Master's in ESC and the application is asking me, but I'm not seeing the first part of that question. So please, you know, email me if in case I didn't miss it. Okay, I think I found it. So if you are applying to an MED program right now and you haven't earned your bachelor's and your teaching certificate, I would apply to the MED and we'll be able to see it on your transcript that you're in the elementary education bachelor's program. And we know at UCF that you're earning your teaching certificate through your bachelor's program. And then with the ESC program, you'll be required to take the exceptional student education subject area exam, you know, while you're in the program because you're tacking on that new subject area, but you can still apply to the MED program. So if you guys have questions, you know, about applying now and making sure that you're understanding the application requirements with not officially earning your degree yet, just let me know and I would be happy. But just remember, you guys are graduating from initial teacher certification programs. You'll all be eligible to apply for your teaching certificate with the Florida Department of Education upon graduation. So you might not hold it, but you're eligible. And so you'll see that in the graduate catalog that you hold it or are eligible for your teaching certificate. If you're interested in other programs, let me know and I would be more than happy to connect you. But again, the graduate catalog has all of the programs at the university listed. And if you scroll to the bottom, like after the application requirements, you'll see a program contact person and it's usually the coordinator or a staff member like myself. So if you're interested in branching out into maybe something completely different than education or public administration and things like that within our college, that would be my recommendation. But I know a lot of different people across the university, so I would be more than happy to connect you as well. So I think we have about 2 minutes left. I want to thank you all so much for joining me. I know I did not get to all of the questions, so I do apologize. I'm going to put my email in the chat and it's on the screen. Please feel free to reach out to me. I hope that you found this helpful. I do apologize again for the technical difficulties, and I know I'm kind of like double screened and it's a lot of Jordan Grushka right now. So I appreciate all of your understanding. It was so nice to get to see all of you and speak with you. So thank you so much. And again, my email is always open. I know campus, my door is always open, but call, email me, whatever you guys need. I'm more than happy to assist you.
Thank you, Jordan, for coming to talk to all of us today.
Of course. It was a lot of fun. A little stressful at first, but I'm glad we got it working.
Everybody's trying to figure out the technological problems now.
Exactly, but we're all sticking through it. We're making it work.
And if anybody has any questions for her, you can email her, email snea@gmail.com if you have any questions for us, and we will have our next KnightED talk next Tuesday.